The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh and Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Welcome to episode 50 of Shark Bites. I am going to be joined very shortly by a whole slew of talented, creative people, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you all for joining me today. This is going to be a very full episode. We got some folks who do a lot of different things. We've got some filmmakers, we've got some writers, we've got some folks who do memorabilia, folks who help raise money for cancer, folks who specifically helped my family out when my dad got diagnosed. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Stephen, thank you for congratulating me on episode 50, and I would like to bring in my first guest who just joined me. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by filmmaker Addison Binnick. Hi Addison, how are you today?
How are you, man? Good.
Doing all right. Hold on, I have a specific thing for you.
Okay.
There we go. The little ticker going across the bottom there.
Great. Thank you, man.
Yeah. So, Addison, you are a filmmaker. You've been on the show a couple of times, and I happen to have a pile of stuff next to me that you might recognize, including my Psycho Ape banana toy.
There we go.
I have my Psycho Ape VHS.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that you nabbed one of those.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I got the VHS. I got the Blu-ray, the DVD. I think I got like every possible thing. And this one I haven't yet opened yet, but Magnum Opus the movie, which you just released. So it's been a while since you've been on, and you've been doing other stuff other than your 9-to-5 jobs. So tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind selling the banana toys, which I didn't realize there was a bloody variant. I would have gotten that one too.
When I came out with those toys, man, they were very limited. You know what I mean? Like I only commissioned about 14 total, and so within those 14, I had 3 bloody, 3 plain, 3 ultra bloody, and so it was kind of just like have at it, internet, go for it, see what go for the ones that are available. And much to my surprise, they sold pretty quickly. So I did commission more. I do have more. There's a couple bloody ones left. But I mean, I made the film with Greg DeLiso, and he and I were kind of joking around about toys for a while. Like any successful movie should have, T-shirts, toys, basically like a riff on the whole merchandising thing, like Mel Brooks and Spaceballs, and I came across this guy, Josh, who he makes funny little toys like that based on popular movies. And so I contacted him and I pitched him the idea of these like little banana toys, and he totally came through, So it was more of an experiment, and much to my surprise and delight, people were really into the banana toys. So that was kind of the inspiration behind those.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty fun. I have an open mind because obviously being a limited run, these are 100% a collector's item. And maybe if I get another one,
I wouldn't recommend opening it. It's more about a fun thing that you just put on your shelf, like a Funko Pop or something like that. Because I have a couple left, but I probably won't commission any more past that, just because they are so niche that it's more fun for like the hardcore fans, the people who do, the people who collect, the VHS, the DVD, the shirt. Here's like another fun little thing, but I really don't want a trunk full of 100 banana toys sitting around, for the next couple of years. So it's basically just like I'll order a dozen more, and that's it. So that was just kind of very limited, very just for the hardcore fans.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I especially like the bootleg as fuck toys. Like
that's his company name.
Yeah, I like that. That's very appropriate, I would say.
Yeah.
We are also joined, as you were chatting away, we had James jump on. James is a director. Hold on, I got a ticker for James. There we go. James is from It Came From the 508 Productions. And again, I can't not have a pile of stuff next to me without one of the very limited One Last Kill and the Box double feature VHS.
Only 10 in existence.
Yep, and I have 10% of the world supply.
Yes, you do.
So that's pretty awesome. So James, thank you for hopping in. I know we're waiting on some more folks, but James was actually very, very early. When I sent out links yesterday, James jumped on immediately. So he was about 25 and a half hours early. I did let him go because I figured that was going to be way too long for a podcast episode. So I was like, all right, we'll reconvene tomorrow.
I just been so busy. It was like, was it today?
Well, to be fair, you're in the middle of a lot of projects that you're working on, trying to get those out. So tell us a little bit, James, about your new thing, Red Umbrella.
Oh, Beneath the Red Umbrella.
Yes.
So I got long story short, as you know, PJ, we're in the middle of financial hell trying to get Abigail off the ground. If it can even legally be called Abigail, but that's a different story. But so in the downtime while I'm waiting for lawyers and tax accountants to get it all sorted out, I had an idea. During the pandemic, I got bored, and I'm a writer, so I have to write. And in the pandemic, I wrote something around 130 short stories and scripts and stuff. And some of it's just really out there stuff. Like I would never, ever be able to film it. It was just crazy. I mean, you've read some of them, PJ. They're wild.
I mean, they could be filmed with a larger budget.
Yeah, they could be filmed with a budget that's outside of like, I wouldn't try to do it with one of my budgets because it would end up with like, a scaled puppet on a pencil, like like it wouldn't work. So I had this idea where if I curated the really like most extreme, darkest, craziest stories out of it, and we turned it into an audio play as a podcast, and that might be pretty cool. yeah, it's going really well so far. I'm eyeing a full launch for the first episode in May, late May maybe. And it's been really great. An amazing cast. I've gotten an amazing cast of actors together to participate in it while we're in escrow on the big project, which is of course the feature. And yeah, it's just going to be a really good time. It's definitely the darkest stuff I've ever come up with by a long shot.
And that's saying something.
I mean, even beyond like One Last Kill in the Box, I would say it's a lot darker than that, even on top of it. And it is saying something because we don't pull any punches around here, but it's just like stuff I don't think we could possibly get away with either filming it, which in a way makes it worse when you're just hearing it out loud. I don't know. I've been practicing the narration of how I want the episodes to flow, and it's going to be something special. It's going to be a little bit different because I want to do it more in vein of bringing the theatricality of what we usually do to an audiobook style thing. And what I mean by that is like sound effects, full soundtrack, full cast, like an old school serial radio show, but told in a theatrical sense, not necessarily told as the serials used to be. And yeah, man, the test stuff we've done so far it's fucking scary. It's this is going to be good. I have a lot of I'm really 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 psyched for this. I'm really excited. And we're also doing it yeah, and the thing that I like the most about it is like topical and like news podcasts are cool. Like, I ran one for 3 years. You do it every month or 2 weeks or a week or however it is, and it's great. But what I noticed about storytelling podcasts is like the quality goes like up, down, left, right. Like they're just trying to hammer out as many episodes as they can. They're not really caring as much about the content. And the thing that I like about Red Umbrella so much, it's very curated. Like I've been very careful, and you've been helping me on the side, PJ, with the editing and just and you've been a huge help with like just having a soundboard for somebody I can bounce the ideas off of. And you've been kind of behind the scenes on it a little bit. It's a very curated list of stories. It's very carefully chosen. It's not just let's throw out everything we can and hope something sticks. Like there's a purpose behind it all. And that right. I'm really, really excited about this. This is going to be something special and different than what most people expect from a horror podcast.
Yeah, and I think, and Addison, I think you can agree with this too, as a horror guy yourself, that, if you're seeing something, it's different from what you imagine. Like once the creature is revealed or the monster is shown on screen, that's, you can decide whether or not it's like, oh, it's a giant spider. Well, I'm not really scared of spiders, so this doesn't have the same effect it would have on, say, someone who's afraid of spiders. So I think the audio narration aspect of it is a little more frightening because it allows the listener's imagination to kind of go wild with the subject material, and no two people are going to listen to it the same. Oh, right. We had Sam, we lost Sam.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, it's
well, I was going to say that's actually very much on, and in the narration, it's very much on purpose. I leave out like key details you might have in a book, like something like the character's race or their body type or something of that nature. I really want to just leave a canvas out there for people to listen to and either, imagine whoever they want. And like they could be 500 pounds and purple. It wouldn't matter. Like that's the kind of narrative I'm going for. I want people to be as immersed in the events and not get bogged down on details about characters and stuff like that, like you would find in a book, like in a book. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. You know, we just had Sam. Sam's going to jump back on. I don't know. I'm just trying to take it as people jump in. We're trying to get like a little bit here and there of everybody, so we can make sure that everyone gets, you know, stuff to talk about. So as soon as Sam jumps back in, we're gonna discuss Sam's stuff, because Sam's stuff is definitely way different from the stuff that you guys put out.
Okay.
But I mean, that's kind of what I was going for with this. Like, there are people that are going to be on later on that are other filmmakers, but there's also going to be people that come on that, you know, raffle off, you know, football helmets to raise money for cancer. You know, like,
yeah,
it's this was a way, like, this whole idea was, you know, I want to get folks that I've had on in the past, folks that are, you know, have been a part of the community, that, you know, maybe get a different audience than they would normally get. You know, get to meet different people, like, because I don't think you two guys have met before.
No.
But you know, James, I would highly recommend Psycho Ape. A lot of fun.
If there was King Kong, then there was Planet of the Apes. This is also a movie. Yep, that's something that would be in my collection. I'm about it.
Yes, yeah, and I do have to pick up the shirt, but I've got most of the other stuff.
I mean, yeah, you definitely have more than I think the average person. So
I don't have the trading cards either.
Oh no, yeah, those are dwindling. Those are definitely. I think I only have maybe 4 or 5 of those left.
Well,
that's awesome.
Hold aside a thing of cards and a bloody banana for me, and a 3X T-shirt.
The shirts I don't sell. Those are available on a website, because I have a deal with a T-shirt guy, so that he kind of takes care of all that. So that, you know, I have all the rest of the merchandise and I promote the film, but, you know, I can't do everything. So I did sort of, you know, license him the image, and so he takes care of all the T-shirt stuff for me.
All right. Yeah, and definitely make sure that you know, you send me links to stuff, so that when I do the show notes and whatnot, because this is going to come out as a normal podcast episode as well.
Yeah.
I can put everything in the show notes. I'm putting everybody's stuff into the show notes, people know where to, you know, buy merch or pick up you know, a copy of a movie or a book or what have you. Yeah, it's just, this is one of those episodes that, you know, I did a while back. I think you were on that one too, Addison, with just randomly trying to promote people. All right, so
yeah,
we have got Sam back. Sam, we're very excited to have you back on the show. Sam is the author of the Addicted Animal series, including If You Give a Bunny a Beer, and If You Give a Bear a Bong.
Yes.
And it's gonna fall. And you just had a new one come out, Sam.
Right. And it's If You Give a Lab a Lab.
Which is yeah, let's zoom in on you.
Oh, okay.
Barking Bad. So tell us, for the folks, because you've been on the show a couple of times, but for the folks who might not be familiar with the Addicted Animals series, tell us a little bit about, you know, what this is and where this idea came from.
Well, it's sort of a series. It's grown into the series about animals that don't know when to say when. It's really got its own universe now. It started with If You Give a Bunny a Beer, which is like a heartwarming cautionary tale about the dangers of mixing alcohol in small mammals. And then from there, it just expanded. You know, the next book in the series was If You Give a Bear a Bong. And what I really like about it is the series is a contained universe, so that animals from the earlier books have cameos and roles in the later books. So that's, you know, it's a series that parodies the If You Give books by Laura Numeroff. And that's what inspired me to write it, because I've got 2 kids and I read those books to them a million times. And, in the delirium of my millionth read, thought this could really use a twist. And I joked with my wife that wouldn't this be so much funnier if you give a bunny a beer? And she said, that would be hilarious. You should write it. So I did, and it kind of took off from there.
Yeah. And we've seen you several places. We've seen you at, I think most recently at Monster Expo last year. Was it? Yeah, it was last
Right.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because that was when. No, it was not last October. The year before.
Right.
Because James, you were there at that con. That was the night of the skillet. James and several other people ended up in our suite that night, and it was a wild adventure.
That night was legendary, man.
It really was. But Sam, we've seen you at Rock and Shock. We've seen you go to conventions all over the place. I'm surprised that maybe Addison, you haven't crossed paths with him, because I know you do a lot of stuff. You're out in Ohio. Michigan.
Yeah, I live in Michigan, and I go to like Cinema Wasteland in Ohio, and I go to Horror Hound. I've heard of Rock and Shock before, but I've never attended before.
No, you can't now, which is
very
that's sad.
It's a corpse now, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I had heard of it, but I had never gone.
So Sam, what other cons have you been to, and like which ones do you find to be which themed ones do you find to be your most successful?
Not surprised. I do really well at Comic-Cons generally. Like Rhode Island Comic-Con has been one of my most successful. Galaxy Con in Raleigh, I've done that, and that's been one of my most successful. In Richmond, which I'm doing next week, has also been another really good one for me. And then I also do a couple of cannabis conventions. And as you can imagine, with titles like If You Give a Bear a Bong, If You Give a Dog a Doobie, those do really well at those conventions.
Yeah, I would imagine so. So you're up to, what's this, 4 now? Because you've got
no, we're up to 5.
5, yes.
Yeah.
Because we didn't include Kitty. If You Give a Kitty a Cocktail.
Right.
So, I know you and I have discussed this, where you have like everything, potentially mapped out. Like not everything's written and everything, but you've got quite a few. So is there anything that you can give us, say, a preview of that's coming up, like anything you can talk about? Because I know for a long time you had to be really hush hush with Lab,
right,
because of what was going on with that. But
yeah, no, I've got the 6th book is coming out in August, and it's If You Give an Elephant Edibles.
That's so good,
and it's nice. It's already doing really well with pre-orders. It just hit Amazon's top 10 in new releases.
That's really impressive.
Not even out yet, so I'm real happy about the reaction, and that obviously people who probably bought the other books are looking forward to this one coming out.
Yeah, because I still have to pick up Lab. I have all the other ones, obviously, but I still got to pick up Lab, and I got to get some more posters from you too.
Right. Are you going to be at Halfway to Halloween in April? Is it?
I think so, at the Monster Expo.
Right.
Yeah, I believe so. Actually, we're going to have Joe, who runs that, on in a little while.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be pretty cool. Because again, this is, like I was telling these other gentlemen before you hopped on, basically what we're trying to do is, give you guys more of a different type of audience that, maybe you don't normally get. I'm not saying that like you need me for any of you, because you're clearly doing very well on your own. But, just maybe people who have never heard of this, because I don't know if, Addison or James, if you guys are familiar with this stuff.
No.
But I highly recommend
it. I love it.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so funny. I love the stories. And I can't, again, you and I have had a ton of conversations about these. You've been on the show 3-4 times. And I'm always happy to have you on again any time. We'll have to get you back in August when the new one comes out. But it's not just the the writing, especially with this. Your illustration partner, Mike Oden, does a great job of taking what you've written and literally illustrating it. I was trying to find a better word, but I couldn't, and getting it out there so people can see exactly what you're trying to put out there.
Yeah, he does an amazing job. I mean, he's super talented, and he just has a great sense of humor, and that really comes out, I think, in his artwork, and a lot of little stuff that he slips into the books.
Little cameos and Easter eggs.
Yeah, just a lot of really great visual humor. And like in Elephant, there's some really funny stuff that references back to Bunny. And sometimes I'll catch stuff that, I wasn't aware he was putting in there. So, that I just catch after a couple reads, and, really lucky to work with him. I mean, we've been working together now for 7 years. So, that's a good partnership.
It seems like it. Now, where are you located? Like, what's your home base?
I'm in Buffalo.
All right. So you're traveling all over the country, like, to all these different cons, trying to, really promote stuff. So I applaud that, because, it can be difficult being away for, an extended period of time, no matter what you're doing.
Right.
And, I know, Addison, you travel around to, the different cons that you mentioned, selling your movies and your merch. James, I know you're at cons and doing stuff all the time, but
God, our schedule's frightening.
But it's mostly around Massachusetts where, Sam, you're going all over the place.
Yeah, no, I'm looking to break further out. Maybe not this year, but definitely once Abigail, whatever it's going to be called, is off is off and running, then I'm definitely looking for a bigger stage. But I mean, we go all the way from Connecticut up to Maine. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
the corner of the country covered.
I mean, New England does have a fairly robust horror scene.
We're blessed like that.
Yes. So, Sam, you've got your 6th book coming out. Have you thought at any point of, man, I'm getting tired of doing this. I'm just going to do the 26 and move on, or are you just like, this is great, I wish there were more letters in the alphabet?
I've actually written 2 more that I'm still trying to get the publisher to greenlight. One they had greenlighted, and then we wrote it, and then they changed their mind. And one I think we've talked about it. It's the Panda book.
Mm-hmm.
Just can't convince them to do that yet. And Mike and I have a couple more ideas in us that we think would work. So right now I feel pretty comfortable moving forward with it for a few more books at least. The publisher and I are already talking about an idea for a 7th book. And it will be a holiday themed book, which I'm looking forward to.
Oh, all right. Then I'm just trying to imagine the possibilities here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I can tell you that. I like it. I've written it. And really now I'm just trying hard to convince the publisher that it's a good idea to go forward with. I mean, they want to do a holiday book with the addicted animals. But it's just, this one's going to be a different format, but it's going to have the same characters.
Okay.
So I think that'll work. But yeah, no, it's, right now I'm really happy with the series, and, the publisher keeps wanting more books. And, they keep getting them in stores. So as long as I don't start, beating a dead horse with it and feel like I'm writing the same book over and over, then I'll, feel good doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, it could get stale if like, they're just like, yeah, just keep giving us, basically the same thing over and over and over again. But I think the way that you have written it in the way that Mike has illustrated it, like while it's all contained in a single universe, it doesn't feel like I'm reading the same story over and over again, because it's such a, in between books, it's such a tonal shift. I mean, Bunny and Bear are totally different, and Kitty is way off the rails compared to those two. Like they're not the same. And even, similar subject matter, if you give a bear a bong, if you give a dog a doobie, those are two totally different books.
Right.
And, for a casual observer, it's like, oh, this is going to be the same thing. It's like, it's really not. Like, there's a lot of different kind of stoners out there. So, you gotta.
Right. and that's what's really important to me, because I really appreciate, my audience. I really appreciate people who, make the effort to check out my books and buy them. And I'd never want to be in a situation where I'm, sort of insulting them by just writing the same book, because that's what, I get pushed towards doing.
Yeah.
There's a little tension with that now already, because the weed books do really well. Like those are the biggest sellers. Like if you give a dog a doobie and if you give a bear a bong. So, the publisher from their perspective is like, well, if that's what's selling, write more of those. And, I as long as I'm not going back to the same well too many times, I'm comfortable doing that. But like we were saying, I don't want to write the same book just with a different animal.
Right. So I know we're going to be joined shortly by yet another filmmaker, Michael Neal. But while we're waiting, Addison, I need to know a little bit more about Magnum Opus, because I've seen some of your posts. And I've been looking at it. I've been trying to, I suppose I could just read the synopsis on it, but I think it's more fun if you tell me a little bit about what Magnum Opus is and where that came from.
Well, last summer I had a lot of free time. And so I took that time to go through hard drives and all this old footage that I had from about 15, 20 years ago. Basically just of me and my high school friends, imitating Tom Green and Jackass and CKY, Viva La Bam, all that stuff. And I took, about 2.5 hours of this 15 to 20-year-old footage shot on various formats too, VHS, high 8, mini DV, digital. And I compiled everything into an hour-long project. So I whittled down, 2.5 hours and turned it into a 63-minute long, movie with fade ins, fade outs, text at the bottom, showing everyone's names, just like a Jackass movie, but as if it was made by, 15, 16-year-olds. And so that's kind of how I want people to kind of look at it, is like, even though it was edited recently and, cut together last year, it was essentially shot by teenagers. And so I kind of wanted to present it in that same kind of manner, where here's a movie sort of made by teenagers in the spirit of, stupid teenagers doing stupid teenage things. And it's in chronological order from like 2002 until about 2017. And so you see us age from, little kids into adults, and the footage quality gets better as it goes as well. So it's kind of, I didn't think of this, but one of my favorite reviews was someone called it Boyhood Meets Jackass, which is kind of perfect because that's exactly what it is. It's, you see us as children, jumping off stuff and hurting each other and eating gross stuff. But it starts off on crappy VHS, and then the footage gets better as time goes on, but we're also aging as time goes on as well. So in an hour, you see, 15 years of my life, but also my friend's life. And you see like the different sort of quality of cameras that I was buying, throughout my life up until a certain point where it's like 1080p and we're still like pulling pranks and stuff. So it is like, Jackass. There's another review. Someone called it like Jackass Junior, and so it is like that. Yes, it is like a Jackass movie made by teenagers, but it's also like this kind of experimental thing where it's, like Boyhood, where we had this footage for years and years and years. And so I finally just cut it together in chronological order. And so now it's like this weird sort of home movie, piece, but it's, crazy stunts and pranks and skits inspired obviously by Jackass and the Tom Green Show.
That sounds very interesting. So we just got joined by Mr. Mike Neal. Mike, it looks like you are muted, but I'm going to unmute you. Who is yet another filmmaker. And we also have just been joined by Mr. Justin Sullum. Justin, how are you today?
How are you?
Doing all right. So we are going around the horn, and we're all just talking about the different projects we've all got going on. We've talked about Addison's movies. We've been talking about James' movies. We just discussed Sam's Addicted Animal book series, which if you haven't seen them, you definitely need to check them out. So we're going to jump next to Mr. Neal, because that's the order in which he came on. So Justin, we'll get to you shortly.
Sure.
So feel free to hang out, and if you have anything you want to add in, please do. But Mike, I want to thank you for joining me. I know you have a super busy schedule, and so I want to talk to you about a couple of things. First of all, Mike, if folks aren't aware, Mike is a local filmmaker. Here's one of his movies that I happen to have hanging around next to me. He's also the director of the short film It's Me, Ma, which has nothing to do with finding your grandma, but and also the upcoming Celophaeus, and I'm so excited for that one to come out, because I know we have some big announcements that we're going to be making in the near future. Although if you want to break it on this show, like, that's totally fine with me. But if you want to wait for a different platform, I don't know what you've got planned. But Mike, thank you for joining. And why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and a little bit about Dream Apex.
Sure. Well, first off, let me know if anything gets weird. I have a lot of bad luck with StreamYard, but hopefully this will be good luck for your episode Extravaganza for number 50. But yeah, so Dream Apex Pictures is a company I have with Joel Lemieux, who's another local filmmaker. We specialize in local films. Like, I've done other movies, like Growing Old that you showed was done in Boston, but the guy I did that with now lives in LA. So we still work together. His name's Greg Anson. We still do films, but those are a little longer, trying to get more funding up front, a little bigger. For Joe and I with Dream Apex Pictures, we want to do things in New England and not do them as quickly as we can, but not because we know and love the network here. We try to do things, kind of as soon as we can. And we have so many people here we can depend on and rely on, like yourself, Patrick. It's fun. I love making movies here. I've been doing it. Well, I graduated in '99 from college, and I've pretty much been doing it ever since. And LA is great, New York is great, but there's something about being here that I just love. I feel like there's places we go and film that no one's ever seen before. There's a sense of kind of fresh, just kind of look to everything, I guess. And there's so many people here doing so many great things, and people are so supportive, and it's a great atmosphere. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything anywhere else. It can be hard to make a living sometimes because I'm freelance, so that can be, difficult. But, I'd rather do it here. It's great. And so with Dream Apex, that our focus really is making films wherever, but especially in New England. That's our big focus.
And I think that you've done a pretty good job with that. So we're going to take a quick jump over to Justin. Justin, you are also a filmmaker, and I've gotten the opportunity to work with you both on your own projects and on big Hollywood movies. And you recently have become the owner of Acclaim Media Group and AMG Camera Car Systems. If you want to tell us a little bit about your film journey and tell us a little bit about what your camera car system does, because I think that might tie into something else that you've got going on.
Sure.
well, I mean, my story, started by accident. I think a lot of people's journey happens by accident. I was working as a videographer for a moving company, internal videographer, corporate video, employee video. And they knew that I used to move furniture. They had a high-end piano that they needed moved. And so they asked me to go oversee the move. When I went there, lo and behold, they set me up. It was a movie set for a film called Novitiate, which was purchased by Sony. Picture Classics, I think is what they're called. And then, of course, I talked to the right people, and I started working on that show, and that was my first big union show, and it kind of just went from there. Acclaim Media Group is really just the grown-up version of Rusted Lantern Pictures. Rusted Lantern Pictures is kind of my creative playground now. It's where I make the narrative projects. It's where I produce music videos under. And Acclaim Media Group's more like if I'm going to approach a small business and try to do some internal stuff for them, I go under the umbrella of AMG. AMG is also like the parent company. So as far as taxes go and everything, I just have one, blanket company. I just filter everything through AMG. So yeah, that's like the corporate grown-up side. And then AMG Camera Car Systems is, I'm a little late in the game as far as camera car stuff goes because of video walls and how successful they're becoming. But the reality is most people can't afford to shoot on video walls. So I've just started accumulating all of the gear necessary to shoot cars, both on the car, shoot other cars, shoot car to car. And I'll be treating myself to a financial hardship in the form of a camera car crane later this year. That'll be a joy that I'll either pay off all at once and really have no money for anything else, or that I'll just finance for 5 painful years and maybe we use it 5 times. But it's good that I have that gear because, like you said, it ties into something else. I'm assuming you were talking about the project I'm working on now, which is just a heavily, heavy on the car stuff. It's a narrative, it's action, drama, but also heavy on the camera car stuff. If we have the gear, we may as well use it.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something that makes a lot of sense. If part of what you're doing is I want to rent this stuff out, but it's like I have this idea, I might as well do it. I do want to quickly say to Mr. Addison, thank you for joining us. I know you have to bounce, but I really appreciate you jumping on and hanging out with us. And we'll make sure that we have all of your all of your information, all your links and whatnot in the bio when this drops as an actual podcast in a couple of days. And obviously, I'll be doing the same for everyone. But Addison, thank you, and I look forward to having you on again in the near future.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for the invite. Nice to meet all you guys.
Nice meeting
you.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks, man.
And with that, we actually have someone else joining the stream right now. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Joe Souza, who we actually were discussing your projects a little while ago. We were referring to the Halfway to Halloween and talking about Monster Expo. So thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. How's it going, everybody?
Hey. Good. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how's it going, Sam?
Good. How you doing?
Not bad. Getting home from work.
Yeah, it was actually Sam that prompted us to talk about you because we were just talking about how we see him at conventions all the time, and
you'll be seeing him at Halfway to Halloween.
Yep. So, Joe, since you just joined us, let's do a little bit about who you are, what it is that you do, and we can go from there.
Sounds good. Hey guys, my name's Joe Souza. I run a convention called Monster Expo. We're in Fairhaven this April, at the end of April, and we're back in Taunton for Monster Expo in October. And I'm also a sculptor, and we decided, me and a couple of friends of mine, to launch a magazine to help some of the independent horror and authors and artists get their projects out there, get them printed, get it seen, at affordable, and help everybody network and get together.
Yeah, and I think that's that's kind of one of the things that we all in this, because most of us are from this area, with the exception of Sam and where Addison was from Michigan. We're all local to this to Massachusetts, Rhode Island area.
Yep.
And it kind of makes sense that we're all trying to help promote each other and, get our collective community up in the air. I believe James and Justin, you guys met each other at a recent convention. I don't remember which one it was.
I've known Justin for a while, dude.
Oh, I don't know.
We've known each other for quite a time. I think the first time I ever met Justin, it was like 3 years ago. We went to one of Gabby's things out in Millbury, and first time we met face to face was then. But we've been friends on Facebook for like 5 years.
Yeah,
we've known each other for a while. Yeah.
See, I just met
Justin. Wrong, PJ.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I just met you. Last year, about a year ago, working on.
Was Holdovers the first one? Yeah.
Yeah, and then Finest Kind a little bit, and then we worked on, a couple of your music videos. So we've worked together a few times. James and I have worked together, or we're working on working together. Mike and I have worked together a couple times. Yeah, so it's everything's it's nice that this community, like I had no idea that so many people knew each other in this community, where it's like, Justin, I didn't know that you knew Jen, and I met Jen at Monster Expo in 2021, and I found out that she was friends with one of my closest friends, but like I had no idea like how
small of a world it is. I'm fixing my tripod. I'm sorry.
No, do what you need to do.
It's driving me nuts. I mean, well, I'm down in my workspace and I have this, comfy couch, but to use the comfy couch, I have this huge fucking thing in the way.
I mean, wow, that is a big thing.
God, it's a rolling showcase. I got 3 of them for $80. This is Facebook Marketplace right here. This thing is massive, big hand, 2 motorcycle helmets. So that's how big that is, and then a third one over there for $80. Facebook Marketplace.
That's pretty good.
It's an independent filmmaker's haven.
It is.
Well, and that's the thing with all of us being not just like independent creators. Although I haven't. I guess I technically have created some stuff.
Oh, you shut up! You shut up right now. You made my favorite book of 2020, my friend.
See, I just found out about that book.
Oh, the book's amazing. It's really, really good.
About it.
Yep, I got to agree. Awesome book.
Well, I appreciate you guys saying that. That means a lot. It does. But like, I just meant like not on, not yet on the level that you guys have, because I'm listening. You guys have been in this, the film industry for so long, and this was something that I never thought I would be a part of. And now all of a sudden I am, which is pretty awesome. Although I'm kind of jonesing for it right now, I got to tell you.
It's tough.
I know.
I'm going out to New York next week for it. Like I had to go to New York, Yeah,
I was hoping to hear something about a job at the Cape because they desperately need COVID people. And it's like, oh, I've done that and I've done it on the Cape. So let me know. So hopefully I hear from them. But no, it's part of what makes this community of, not just, the filmmaking community or the convention community. It's just the independent creator community where, we all recognize what the struggle is. And all we're trying to do is help other people, reach their goals. Justin, when I was working with you over the summer, you're like, hey, I want to give you a position on my film where, something that you want to do coming up in the future. But, it didn't quite work out the way I wanted to, because I was like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, sorry, Jess is already doing that. So
what did you want to do?
Well, at the time I was thinking like script supervisor or something like that, but now I'm thinking I want to get into like the AD, but the shed was not large enough for as many people as we
well, I mean, I like to run. I don't know about everybody else in this chat, but I like to run with a small crew. I mean, like Sam and I are doing a movie right now, that it's coming along really well. I'm very proud of what we're putting together so far, and it's a 2-person crew. When I look at Black Vulture, which, was well received and it looks good and people enjoyed it, I had a crew of like 25. And it embarrasses me that I don't remember everybody that was on it. I mean, granted, I was in a car accident and suffered a head injury during production. Even still, I look at the credits. I'm like, I don't remember even meeting this person. And that's terrible. It makes me feel like a jerk. So I like to keep a small crew. So that being said, I wish that there was more on Sanguinary. I wish that there was more that you could have done. What I didn't want you to do was the COVID thing. I didn't want you to do the PA thing, because to me, if you're coming out and volunteering time on a set, I don't want you doing the thing that like you would normally get paid for and not get paid for it. That just sucks. It's like, I want to provide a platform where like, well, what do you want to do? Short of like being in charge of like the burn unit and burning people when you just kind of think it would be fun. Like, what could you do that is safe? Have you ever wanted to work in lighting? Cool. Jump on the electric crew, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I like to do things. And that's why I keep things small, because in theory, most of the positions, everybody's experimenting with a new craft, but I think that you're fantastic to work with. And I'm looking forward to having you back out for the rest of, we have 2 more days of shooting on that once the weather, goes back to spring, real spring.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Because I've learned a lot working with you. So, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on, because I've had such positive experiences with you, on every set that I've worked with you on, and I want more people to be aware of the projects that you're creating, because I think the stuff that you do, you take a lot of what you've learned, and just like some of the stuff, like I've shown, people like the whole Black Vulture thing. It's like, look at this. Like, I wish people could see all the behind the scenes stuff that we've done, that you're like, no, put that over there. No, do that. And like some of the places where we've shot, where it's like, I feel like I've got tetanus just from looking at this place. But
I'm meticulous with everything. Do you remember, did you go to the Holdovers wrap party?
Yes.
Okay. So we did this film directed by Alexander Payne, who's to me going to be my favorite director for the rest of my career. He's such an incredible person. And it's called Holdovers. We went to the wrap party, and they had like a 5-minute montage of just a little POV. They would take the camera and they would strategically place it in places they knew Alexander was going to go in and shift salt and pepper shakers around, or silverware around, or whatever around. And it was just to look at the detail that he put into every single frame was, so inspiring to me. So yeah, when we do the BTS stuff and I'm like, put that over there, which I always feel like I'm talking at people instead of talking to them. And I don't like that. I think it's also just because that's the way I make myself feel. The feedback has been that people don't feel like I'm talking at them. But anytime I ask somebody to do something for me, I feel like a lazy piece of shit, because I feel like I should just do it myself. Right. So it's, but it's like, I know where I want things, to be. Last night I watched Blade Runner 2049. I love it. I've seen this so many times, but I started seeing similarities that felt familiar. And I looked at a bunch of screenshots from this thing that we're doing now, and it was just so heavily saturated with Deacon's cinematography. I love his work. And so, like you said, you take what you learn and kind of apply it to the independent projects that we do. Yeah, I just soak up everything I can from everyone that I talk to, and I take something from everybody and I try to apply it on my sets.
Yeah,
and
I think
I'm a professional thief.
Yeah, well, it's imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Well, when I say professional thief, I just mean like we would all be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't take something from each other in some capacity. And I'm not saying take a creative idea. I'm saying like, oh, I like the way that person spoke to that person. Alexander knew everybody's name.
Yep.
I don't know how you do that. That's incredible to me. So that's something I'm trying to do.
Well, they're to kind of touch on that point, when Ashes and I came to the wrap party, we're walking up the stairs, and he's at the top of the stairs having a conversation, and he sees me, sees Ash, stops his conversation, walks over, goes, "Hi, you must be Ashes. I'm Alexander." and offers his hand. It's like he knew my wife's name because he and I had had conversations.
An Academy Award-winning filmmaker.
Two
Well,
of them.
Yeah.
All right, we have another group just about to join us, and this is going to be a tonal shift from what we've been talking about. So, folks, please welcome the West Coast Warriors break room. These folks are they're fantastic human beings. They have been immensely helpful. I'm not going to tell you what they do. I'm going to have them introduce themselves and tell you what it is that they do, but I can tell you that they have had a very significant impact on my life, and they've helped me out and my family out immensely. So I'm going to let these folks talk about what it is they do. And folks, take it away.
Good afternoon, PJ. My name is Marsu. Our room is something that's dedicated to the memorabilia world. First and foremost, it was created in honor of our warrior, as you can see kind of in our banner back there. Vicky was a family member of ours, my mother's late wife that had passed due to her fight with cancer, not because of her cancer, but because of her graft versus host. Thank you. Disease that she had to fight after having a bone marrow transplant and things like that. And so this is our way to honor her memory of loving football and being able to recognize that football is a big part of our family, as well as with each and every break, we donate a significant amount of what we bring in towards the charity that helped her get through all of it, and as well as other survivors that are dealing with the same cancers as her.
Yeah, and you folks have done some amazing stuff. Like I said, you helped when my father had his diagnosis. You guys helped out with immensely helping run a fundraiser. Not only raising money for the different memorabilia that you donated, but also donating a significant amount yourself. And I was thinking about that earlier today. And I remember telling my dad, it's like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what these folks are doing. And he, you could hear him get all choked up. And he wasn't a guy that displayed a whole ton of emotion. And, it really means a lot to me, specifically what you guys do. And it's one of those things where, in a lot of ways, like, when I'm jumping in a break room and it's like, oh man, I really hope I win this thing or that thing. And it's like, even if I don't win, I get completely skunked. It's okay, because I know that, I'm helping contribute to a cause. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like winning the occasional Mahomes helmet. I'm not going to complain. When you guys, pull the stuff that, I'm specifically looking for, again, I'm not going to complain, but how long has this group been up and running?
I want to say we started 2 years ago. So this August will be our third complete year. We started donating back in 2018, very little. 2019, we didn't donate anything because that was the year that Vicky passed. So it was a very hard year. But 2020 was our first big year of donating, which started the break room itself. Since 2018, we are, I think, just under $50,000 in total donations. And that's taking off an entire year of 2019. So within 4 years, we've almost hit 50,000, which we will hit by the end of this year. We will have donated over $50,000 in total since 2018, technically. But the break room itself was, I want to say, July, August of 2020. Shortly after COVID kind of hit and everything was going on. We had all talked about it for a while. At first, it started out as a joke, when we first started playing, it was kind of like, oh, we should do our own room. Ha ha ha, funny. And then you blink and we're 3 years later, $50,000 raised. We have a room full of people who, like yourself, just enjoy being a part of it.
It's a good community.
Yeah, we created that small little community. And, we love helping everybody out. With you and your dad, when that came up, it hits home for all three of us, because it hasn't just been Vicky who, we've had. It's been Debbie's mother,
my brother,
her brother, my grandfather, So
Michelle.
Michelle, her sister, she beat breast cancer. So it's like the cancer world as a whole is very close to us, and we will do whatever we can to help anybody out. We've helped you out. I know we've helped a few others out in the room too. It's something that we really pride ourselves on. That's why we created this group. We created this group to remember Vicky, to have fun, but in reality, we did it to donate to charity. That is our cause. That is the reason that we do this. Everything else is just a perk, to do this.
And we have lots of fun.
Yeah, a little bit of fun.
Oh yeah, like the live breaks, which you guys will be doing in about an hour, right?
Yep. Yeah. 1 hour.
You'll be doing a live break. I did not get the chance to jump into this one, but I'll be there next time. Like the live chat, the stuff that goes on between you guys and the folks that are in the room. Yep. It's fantastic. So that's part of the reason why I've explained to these other folks that have been in on the show for a while, like part of what I'm doing tonight is trying to give back to folks who have been cool with me, and folks who I respect what they're doing, and I really appreciate everything that they do for their community. And this has been just a really fun ride for me. So this is so you guys had said that you've given away close to $50,000 for cancer research, and what number break are you on?
I think today is 54. Mm-hmm. Yeah, today would be our 54th total break in
numerical value. Yeah, but we've had a couple specialty series, so reality we're probably closer to 60.
And we've also done some like Razes and charity things in between there. So we've done a lot of things here and there in between each series. But yeah, we're up in those mid to high 50s in total.
Which I'm just, going to say, so that's about $1,000 every time you do a break, give or take.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only point I was trying to make with that. And for folks who are not familiar with the term Raz, Facebook flags anything where if you talk about like a raffle.
Right.
So the term has been changed.
Right.
To avoid your post getting taken down or getting flagged for going against community standards, which, it's like, hey, we're looking to raise money for cancer. Whoa, not on our watch, you're not. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg ain't having that.
Nope.
Yeah. So I know you guys got a lot to prepare for, and you're getting ready, and I appreciate you guys jumping on. If you guys want to hang out, totally fine. If you want to jump off and do what you need to do, I will say I have the exact same shirt that Debbie's wearing. Mine's probably a lot bigger, but I've worn it on film sets a couple of times. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I try to represent the group wherever I go. And it's like, oh, what's that you're wearing? Oh, what am I wearing? Well, I'll tell you. So I try to make sure that I help give you guys any promotion. Is there anything you guys want to talk about before you hop off and get ready for your own live stream?
I don't think so. Like I said, charity is our number one thing. We want people to understand that is the reason we're in this. We're in this for family. We're in this for charity. We're in this for fun. We really don't do it for any other reason. Everything else, like I said, is just extra fun. The lives is a fun little perk. Mm-hmm. Talk to everybody, interact with everybody, create that little community that we have. But we really want anybody, like I said, you can be in our room. We don't care if you spend a penny. Come enjoy the lives. Talk with us. We'll talk sports. Michael. You can make fun of me. Yeah, everybody makes fun of me. Don't worry, I get that a lot. I get dogged on a lot for being a Steelers fan. So I like it. It's fun to get that back and forth banner with everybody. So come watch a live, enjoy it. Just have fun with us. And then one other thing we do for Vicky each year is her annual tailgate. That's one big thing. It's our big event. We do it typically every November, December when it finally cools down here in Arizona. We'll pick a game. We'll get family and friends together for a big memorial tailgate to come together. We typically give a little speech about Vicky. and then we just all hang out, good food, good friends and family watching football games all day long. So that's really kind of what everything's for. Then our Light the Night Walk is the big event. That is actually from the charity itself for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. It's their annual Light the Night Walk. So that's what we do every November. You typically post about it when it gets closer. We always invite anybody to come out, whether you live in Arizona or not. We would love for one year to get as many people as possible to come out to that event. Last year, Vicky was the memorial hero. But even after that, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep supporting and doing it and enjoying the time. So we always invite anybody to come out. We always post about when the event is. And like I said, if we could just one year get some people from the group to come out to Arizona and just have a good weekend, that'd be fantastic. But yeah.
Awesome.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here and giving us a little shout out and letting us represent and tell our story to others that are a part of the world.
Of course. And you guys can, for anybody listening, for you folks, if you guys are interested, West Coast Warrior Breaks on Facebook. Find them, join it. Like it's a lot of fun. Not just that, like, there's all these giveaways. So if you don't win, maybe you win a case for a helmet that you didn't win, or maybe you get a case for a helmet you did win. It's all good stuff. And you are all fantastic humans, and I'm glad that we have crossed paths.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're glad to be a part of your life and you and a part of ours.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, you guys go get ready for your upcoming live and work on your zingers for Belize.
I'll do my best.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
I had a slight technological glitch.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're happy to have you back.
I'm next to Joe now. Hey,
yeah,
we're neighbors.
Yeah. So, Joe, I wanted to touch base with you a little bit about what's going on. I know, Mike, you have to jump out in a couple of minutes. So whenever you have to jump out, just let me know, because I know you've got family stuff that you got to take care of. But Joe, tell us a little bit about the convention and how the convention's kind of grown and turned into this magazine, and tell us a little bit about what the magazine, like what the intention behind it was, and like what the goal is for it.
Well, the convention, Monster Expo, started shortly after things opened back up from COVID. I was at a flea market space, and we were able to have a little Comic-Con type get together because everyone was itching to have a show. We had maybe about 12 vendors come down, and it was a really good turnout. So that kind of gave me a little bit more of the confidence to start a horror convention. And with the community just being the community that it is, word spread really quick, and sold out the show really fast for vendors, and vendors really got the word out there, and everybody got excited. So I feel like we had a pretty good opening show for the small budget that we work with. Like, we really don't have it's all just taking the money that we're able to raise with the sponsors and the vendors and really putting it towards focusing on the vendors, having the guests that are affordable to get celebrity autographs and pictures from, so we're not sucking all the money off the floor, and try not to overdo it with guests. So again, we're not sucking all the money off the floor. We get every vendor that does the show on the website. We announce them on Instagram. We announce them on Facebook. We encourage them to get us a bio. A lot of people haven't even done this before, so they'll send us their bio. We'll help edit it up for them, make it look a little more professional, guide them through the process of doing a convention, make them feel confident, and welcome them with open arms, and try to build that family feel on the floor. And I feel that's really what's done well for me, and just giving back to the community that's always done great with me, and trying to keep the vendor tables as affordable as possible. And so everybody makes some money, and everybody wants to come back. And most importantly, we have a good time. We all respect each other and are happy to see each other. It's a big family when the show gets going. And that's how what I feel has had it grow from show to show to show. And just having so many of these, talented people that I've been trying to get this story out for, 6 months, but I just can't get the funding for it. I don't have time to do a Kickstarter. Hearing all these, people that are struggling to get their work out there, and just the lack of tangible magazines that focus on smaller. When I was growing up, I was in Providence a lot of New Bedford, and there were just tons of zines, and that's how we got the word out there and traded them and got them out. And I just want to bring that back in a more professional level, make it look better. And the same thing, we have editors that help us clean up people's stories if it need be. We have people that have been writing for a good long time, and we don't have to do anything except just get it printed for them, and maybe find an artist that's going to give an illustration for it, and we can get it printed, and hopefully get them some publicity and get noticed and get all of our names out there. So I'm kind of viewing it as just having a convention on paper almost.
See, I like that. I like the fact that again, I've always, even and Mike and James can definitely attest to this. Sam as well, because I met Sam, long before I was ever, trying to do any of my own stuff. But, again, the independent creator community, like I've always been a huge proponent of that, because, especially now after seeing what goes into, I don't want to say a real, but like a bigger budget, Hollywood film with Oscar winning directors, like seeing that. And then, talking to people, it's like, yeah, I worked on this project for The Asylum, and, we had to come up with a whole film, and we had 12 days to do it. So like, I know how difficult that can be, on any level, where it's like, all right, we have 2 takes for this shot because we're fighting sunlight, or, the way that the camera angle is, there's going to be fishing trawlers in the background in 40 minutes. So we have to nail these shots. We have to get it with this lighting. And you don't have unlimited takes, or it's like, we didn't get it today. You know what? We'll just tack on an extra day at the end. We'll come back and do it again. Or, let's switch the schedule around because it's raining. It's incredibly difficult, for someone who doesn't have this, larger audience already built in, where it's like, oh, well, I'm going to tell my story. Well, who's distributing it? Well, I am, because, I'm going to put it out on Facebook in my Facebook group, and hopefully people will share it, because I've found that, and I'm sure all of you can attest to this, how often people will, it's like, wow, that looks like it doesn't even need my money, but I'm going to give it to them. Well, why don't you support your friend? Your friend's looking for $10, to, donate to their Kickstarter, or, buy a shirt at their merch table. It's like, well, I was gonna, but I spent $400 on, a plain white t-shirt that Kanye West said, he was gonna wear. So I'm going to do that instead.
Yeah. You said it right there. It's advertising.
I have thoughts on this, PJ, and they're not kind. So I don't know how vile you want me to get right now, because I got some stuff I could say about that, but you're not wrong.
No, and it frustrates me, where it's like, most of the time the people that are doing this are the people that are like, man, I'm tired of the same 5 movie ideas being peddled. I wish somebody would come out and do something original. Hey, I've got this original film, like, that I worked on, and like, me and my friends did this, and we filmed it, like, we did it all ourselves. Like, we're professionals, we know what we're doing. It's like, well, who's in it? Well, I'm in it. Like, like, who did you expect? Like,
I'll give you a funny example.
In here, I gotta say, that's one thing that's great about Joe's conventions, because he really brings in like original artists. So like, it's not like some of the cons where you see like 10 million Spider-Man prints, and 10 million Marvel prints, and 10 million, Walking Dead prints. He brings in and really showcases original artists. And it's a real credit to him, because I
appreciate that.
Thing that he does.
It's really hard to tell people no. Like, it's been something that I've had to learn for the past 2 or 3 years. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, your work's great, but right now you're just really not ready for the main floor. Like, can I interest you in maybe the artist alley or the small business table? And it's not so much the quality of the work, it's just that they're not really ready to spend the money, that they're never going to make the money back, and I know it's more than money, but it's just like, no, right now you need to spend a little bit less, figure out your kinks, figure out what's going to work, not your kinks, but you know, the kinks that are going to be in loading in your booth and stuff like that, and like you could just tell by looking at their setup, like the level I'm trying to curate on the main floor. It's not so much like inclusive type or exclusive as well, but it's more of a professional look. I want people to almost be overwhelmed when they walk in there, and it's a clean show and everybody has tablecloths and it's just a professional look, and they understand like they're, you know, we're spending a little extra because these people really work and we're putting heart and soul in it. And I feel like by putting these little lesser known names, more of the cult following people, having the independent, you know, horror convention that George is doing, and having more aspects that are not stand in a line and get an autograph, are attracting people that live horror every day. They're not like, oh, I know Freddy, I'm going to go see Freddy and I'm going to buy something that has something to do with Freddy and I'm going to go have Freddy sign it. And then I'm going to go buy a pop and I'm going to leave, you know. I want the people that live horror every day, that, you know, they want to find new writers. They want to have new experiences. They've already seen Robert Englund 1,000 times. They don't care. You know, they want to find and talk to new creators and new projects and new fun things. And of course, we want everybody to come that loves horror, but we're really trying to bring in that independent folk. There's tons of autograph shows, and I promised all my vendors I'll never be that. You know, we're going to be a show that focuses on our stuff. And, stop me if I'm rambling, but actually pretty excited because we just got news from the hotel's going to let us go as long as we want at night. So we're going to start doing like an after dark type thing and having more screenings, more like an open mic for films type of thing, you know, more of an adult feel, kind of like the vendor hall's not going to be the main attraction. It's going to shut down. People are going to be able to come back, do all sorts of fun, you know, things, projects, and just have more of a, you're not here to buy things now. Let's, you know, celebrate our thing, have fun all night, stay in the hotel, come back, make friends, family, and, you know, be excited to see each other the next year. But I'm pretty excited about that. So it's going to be able to get a lot more people to get their stuff out. We'll have a lot more showcasing platforms for everybody.
And I think that's the way it should be. Before we get on to the next thing, Mike, I know you need to head out. Thank you for stopping by and taking the time. We will definitely we're gonna have to have you on the main show because we got to talk about some Lovecraft stuff coming up, and I know that's your wheelhouse.
Oh yeah, and yeah. So before I leave, we did the first ever Dream Cycle adaptation of a Lovecraft story, as far as we're aware. It's Celophaeus. It's playing at Mass Independent on the 15th in the Horror Block at noon. We're going to have as many screenings locally as we can. Joe will definitely submit or try to get a booth or whatever at your festival. I want to talk to all of you guys separately. You sound amazing. And yeah, we got some big surprises coming with this film. It's going to be big for us. PJ worked on it. He knows. He's been keeping them quiet for almost a year. We filmed it all locally in places where Lovecraft wrote, lived, filmed in Gloucester, filmed the Blackstone River. All practical, all miniatures, visual effects.
I got covered with ants one day.
He got covered with many ants. It was wild. So, and it's pretty much dedicated to everybody who lives and works in New England. Like you'll get it when you see it. We all know what it feels like to live here and love horror here and everything. And it's like, so anyway, I gotta go, but it's great to be on this. Great to just start to meet the rest of you guys. I'll definitely be in touch. And
very cool.
DJ, you're the best, man. Congrats, you know, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye, everybody.
Nice meeting you.
See you later, Mike. Yeah, one of the things, and I was kind of hoping he'd say it on this show, because like we're waiting to announce somebody that's in Celophaeus, and we haven't been able to say it, but like, as soon as
Joe let me watch the movie.
Oh, so you know?
I know.
Yeah.
Very
So,
cool.
I mean,
Very
everyone
cool.
will know in a month when it premieres at Mass Independent, which is going to be awesome. But yeah, I got covered with ants on one scene.
Yes,
I must have
yes,
just stirred
you did.
something, like my whole arm was just covered with ants and they were all biting me. But you know what? We got the scene.
Dude, it was horrifying to watch, but it was at the same time, like, I love you like a brother, so I like watching you suffer. It was fun. So, but it was great. It was great. It was fantastic. I'm so happy for Joe, and I'm so glad I got to meet Mike. I wish I could have picked his brain a little bit more about it, but I didn't want to.
There'll be opportunities.
Yeah, because of things in the movie, I didn't want to say much because of the things that I didn't know what you guys would revealed or not. So.
Oh no, you can always send those to me because I'm now that you've seen it, I'm authorized to talk about stuff with you.
Joe slipped me the password last week, and I gave it a watch. Really good.
Yeah.
Really stoked for you, PJ. Stoked for you.
Thank you.
It's so good. But what I was going to say before the mic thing, I was going to say as far as regards to Monster Expo, we were at Monster Expo the first year as vendors, and then I went back last year as a speaker. The single feat, Joe, that I will say, because we do shows all over New England, all over this entire fucking region. We go to cons nonstop. What you've been able to do without pulling in Robert England or Kane Hodder or all the common names you expect to see at a horror con, the sheer volume of people just coming out to support horror, it's so cool, dude. Like,
appreciate that.
I know, like, con weekends are nuts. We never actually get to sit down and talk about this stuff, but I've been wildly impressed. And like, you can ask PJ. I've been doing this for a really long time, and I've gone to a lot of conventions. And what you guys do is genuinely unique.
I appreciate that's really what I'm trying to do. Like like you said, I don't think I've been doing conventions since 2017, so not a whole heck of a long time, but long enough to get really tired of like the larger conventions that are just taking the vendors' money, spending all the money advertising celebrities, building the show on our backs, and not focusing. Like, if we're gonna have a horror con, how can you have a horror con and just invite horror guests, but have all your same Comic-Con people there? It's just a Comic-Con with horror guests. That's not a horror con. You don't even have independent film tables. Like, like
I've been saying this for years, especially in regards to that, they're not curated as well as what.
No, you can sign on. You just go online and grab a booth. You're gonna get tons of Etsy people, MLMs, all the people that really don't belong at the show, and that's what's been difficult. At first, the first couple of shows we curated message by message. We talked to everybody. We went on there, and it was really time consuming. But like you said, it was important to me to find people that were not just the quality and not just different, so there wasn't a flood of everything, but they worked it. They were on social media every day. They were doing shows. They were handing out flyers. They were trying to grow their business just as much as I was trying to grow Monster Expo. Those were the people we wanted to work with. And I'm just amazed at how I can just point people to their booths, and then that's it. They just set up and they do it, and they do it so well. And then I go, show's over, and they pack up and they leave, and like in 2 hours, the place is empty. I'm like, these are just professionals. Like, everybody's getting along, everybody's working together and helping each other. And it's just, I couldn't be happier with the group of people that we work with. And I really think that that's why it's growing, and that's why we're able to, get people through the door. Plus, I don't charge $40-50 a ticket. I'm sure that's helping as well.
That's another big thing, man. Like, most cons these days, we did CT Horror Fest the first year in Monster Expo. We did CT Horror Fest.
Yeah.
The very first year. You guys were the same amount for a table. Straight up. Dollar for dollar. The very next year, we went back to, because we only had, like, last year we could only do a certain amount because we've been trying to make a feature film. So money, we haven't had a lot. So we decided as a group, like, okay, we're going to do this. So we go back to get another table at CT Horror Fest. It's 3 times as much. Who can afford that?
No, especially now. Especially now, everybody's trying to build back. Yeah,
you're never going to make that back.
Yep,
not realistically.
And that's what I mean. That money's going to bring in celebrities most likely, and then you take a look at that, and that's who the show's about, because then that's going to bring people through the door to get tickets, and not to not to cast shade on any show. That's a a platform that's worked for us for years. But I remember the older sci-fi shows before I came back to do Comic-Cons. Like, I was found at a craft show and they said, come do a Comic-Con. And I still thought it was a bunch of guys in a basement with books. I was like, why am I going to sell my horror sculptures or my monster sculptures at a Comic-Con? Like, who would buy that? Last one I went to, I think, was Boston Back Bay when it was still in the Armory.
Yeah.
So when I saw that and realized it was a pop culture convention, I thought it was great. And then, just being able to come in and find this community of people and be able to work with all these, people and inspire each other. Because that's really what it did to me. Like, it just made me up my game. It made me want to, work more and open up more and create more and just be open to different mediums and just see all the stuff that people was doing. It was just so overwhelming. I wasn't used to seeing so many creators in one room, I guess, and finally finding my people. And it grew really fast, and I've been really grateful for it.
Yeah, I've found that it's, I've been to a bunch of different conventions, and, I've been to some that, are now defunct, which is, in the case of Rock and Shock, very, very upsetting. We went to Scaricon the first year that, they were doing their podcast awards, and, we were lucky enough to win an award, and it's like, oh, this is the first one. It's like, all right, now we got to really step up our game, and we're going to go back and we're going to defend it and win again next year. And Scaricon doesn't exist anymore. And there have been a bunch that, like, there was supposed to be one in Mystic, Connecticut, and they took everybody's money, and
that happened again in New Hampshire with like the same name. It wasn't the same something. It wasn't the same people, but it was Wicked Killer in New Hampshire and Wicked something in Connecticut as well. But they weren't the same people. But it's just stay away from that Wicked name.
Yeah, because when I was like, man, like, we're supposed to have a booth, and like, I'm going to be doing a reading, and like, I'm going to be on a panel. I have a ton of this stuff. I'm like, I got to get a room. And I call the hotel. They're like, we don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, you're like the 9th person to call this week. And like, we don't have anything booked up.
Is this New Hampshire or?
This was Connecticut. And they're like, yeah, we
Well,
don't know.
for me, but same deal.
I had a lot of friends get burned by New Hampshire. That was really upsetting.
Yeah. Same with Connecticut. Like, as soon as I found this out, I was like, I let, the podcast network know. I was like, listen, folks, like, this is what they just told me. I just got off the phone with them. Like, I know that, like, there's a dozen of us that are supposed to be there.
And I mean, unless people organize and really get together, that people will always get away with that. You really got to get everybody together to get something done about it, and it's just never going to happen. So I just feel like promoters know they can just do that. It's insane.
I knew something wasn't on the level with that when I'm getting an email being asked to speak on a filmmaker panel up there, and I'm seeing the guest list, and it's like crazy. It's like Daniel Harris, Kane Hodder, Skeet Ulrich, and like whoever else they threw up.
They tied up a bunch of people. Like, they tied up a bunch of people for October that really needed to, have a gig.
And I'm just like, why the fuck are you asking me to speak when you're bringing guests like that? Dude, I'm not that cool. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It didn't line up. So,
yeah,
like, I didn't book anything, thank God, because I didn't spend any money. But I know some people that got took for a lot for that con. It was bad.
Yeah, I had random people that I never talked to before that were working with some of the celebrities just start asking me, do you know this person at all? Because we just had horror conventions in the same New England area. And after a while, I was just saying, you're not the first person to ask. So I'd look into this, But it definitely started unfolding quickly. And then it was because the celebrities were, I guess Danielle Harris was seen at Silver Screen by quite a few people and said she had no idea what the show was. And that's really what started it snowballing. And then I had a lot of vendors reaching out to me and a few agents. And then all of a sudden the guy gets COVID. It's like you could kind of see it coming. And then he's like, oh, I'm sick. So the show's canceled. And then
convenient.
The same celebrities are going to be there in 4 weeks. I'm like, you can't just rebook celebrities 4 weeks down the road. They have Monster Mania was going on that weekend. Like,
they wouldn't do it
there. Tons of people were there. It's just not possible. And of course, he just disappeared and never came back.
Now, Sam, have you ever had an experience like that? Like, when you get booked for something and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. I got my hotel room. I got my airfare. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Hey, what the hell happened?
Just
Right. Well,
COVID. That was the only thing that
luckily
ever did it to me.
I've been lucky in that respect. I haven't had anything like that come up.
Which is good. How about you, Justin? You ever had, something like that where you're like, maybe it's a smaller con where you're like, part of like the independent film thing, trying to get something out there, and they just like, oh yeah, sorry, it's not happening anymore.
Not in filmmaking, but when I was still a professional wrestler, I would run into things like that all the time. A lot of sketchy promoters promising things that they really had no place promising, and I don't think they understood that the industry was small enough that we knew one another. I mean, like Coco Beware, for example, might seem like a random name. We got to know each other very well, backstage, and then I hear that he's going to be doing this signing, and I know that at the time he was very ill, and I hit him up, and he was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. None." Then there was another convention, the only one that I ever went to that I was asked to sign autographs. So I was with Al Snow, we were sharing a table. And then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Jerry Lawler, just went down the line to Ric Flair. And it was super cool. I don't know. I'll preface this by saying I don't know any details. So for all I know, this is just, hearsay or whatever. But I guess Batista was supposed to sign as a wrestler at that convention, which might not seem like a big deal, but when you meet Dave Batista, the actor, and then Batista, the wrestler, two different characters. And, even if he's acting the same, it's to the wrestling fan, it's a much bigger thing for them to meet him, at a booth next to Ric Flair than it was at the booth he was at. So he was at the convention. We had a great conversation, and it was good to see him, but he was there as Dave Batista. He was there as an actor. And I didn't know about that at the time, but I bet you'd have been pissed if you found out that some promoter probably took people's money to get them to go to this convention to see Batista in the wrestling line, and instead he was in the Batista booth in the middle of where all the voiceover actors were, and he was hard to find. That was another thing too, was the complaint that people were having, was he was hard to find. But yeah, a lot of smoke and mirrors with the wrestling conventions. It also didn't help that wasn't a wrestling convention. That was just a huge Galaxy Con or something like that, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's I know that there have been cases where people have signed on for whatever reasons, they're not able to go to the con, and that type of thing happens. It's like, hey, this particular person, oh, I heard you're going to be at this con. It's like, yeah, well, it all depends on, my filming schedule, because, the project I'm working on might need to shoot that day. So obviously I have to honor my commitment to my film, and I can't do this convention.
Which is really like a pain in the butt when you hear that. I mean, I understand how it goes, but it's like, you got to buy the ticket and you just got to cross your fingers and hope that the filming schedule doesn't come up.
Well,
I
pay
the insurance.
I was a pain in the ass for you, Joe, with this past Monster Expo. I wanted to have a table there for Rusted Land Pictures. And it was the same thing. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I even sent the deposit. And then I got booked in New York. And I remember
that. Yep.
Yeah, had to be a pain
that's not a pain in the ass. That just
Well,
happens.
I know, but to me,
I mean, when you have to put out the money and buy the flight because you don't want to wait 2 weeks before the show because it's going to be 5 times as much.
Right.
And they tell, at least they're cool enough to say, hey, I could be filming, so you might want to buy the insurance, so you might want to wait on the flight. Like Tyler said, he might be doing a project, and it's like, Tyler's a big dude. He had to fly first class. That's not a cheap ticket. So it's like, especially when I don't have a huge budget to bring in a lot of guests.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's a gamble with the filming schedules. But sorry to interrupt, but that's definitely a thing when, like PJ was saying, like, you don't know. It's a legit reason why they cancel a lot of shows, because they don't know when they're going to be filming. It could just happen.
Yeah, and certain shows can withstand that. Some a show like, say, Rhode Island Comic Con, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have Carrie Fisher, and then it's like, no, Carrie's not feeling well, she's not coming, or they still have enough. But if it's like, this is what we're doing, we're gonna be doing, Terrifier Con, and like we have the cast of Terrifier, and it's like, everyone will be there except for David Howard Thornton and Damian Leone. Like, It's like, wait, what? Like that one can't absorb that.
Yeah.
So I know we, I said we'd go till probably around 7, but I think we've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover for you folks. So before we go, I want to go around the horn and just kind of, have you tell folks where they can find you, where they can find your projects, and offline, send me all the links. Like I know Justin, you already have. James, I have all your stuff anyways. Sam, whatever specific links you want to send me that will maximize your exposure, let me know. Send those to me, and I'll put those in the show notes in the description for when this drops on Tuesday as a normal podcast. Let me know. But we're going to go around the horn. Everybody's got a J name except for Sam, so I'm going to start with Sam. So Sam, where can folks find your work, and where do you like folks following you on social media?
Well, I've got probably on social media, the primary face to follow me would be Facebook. I'm most active on that. My books are available on Amazon. They're available through Barnes and Noble. So, and pretty much anywhere you buy books, you can get my books. So, just check them out, and hopefully, people want to pick them up.
And important thing, whenever you're buying a book or a movie or something like that, leave a review. More reviews.
That is huge. My editor constantly hounds me to get people to leave reviews. So yes.
Yeah, the more reviews you get on your work, the more visible it becomes when people search for whatever they happen to be looking for.
Right. Especially good ones.
Yes.
If you hate my book, don't leave a review.
No 1 stars, please.
Yeah.
You always get those reviews like, oh, I don't really like anything. I had a review like that. It was like 1 star. It's like, I don't like horror or Halloween. It's like,
Well, there was a woman who thought my books were actually for children. And she said, oh my God, isn't there enough horrible stuff out there? Now there's this for kids.
like, look at the title.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So Justin, you're up next.
I think Instagram's probably the easiest ones. Justin Makes Movies, and then Rusted Lantern Pictures, or Rusted Lantern Pictures LLC on Instagram as well. Not big on Facebook. I have it, but I don't like it. I fucking hate it. I'm over it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Joe?
Best way to find us is just search Monster Expo with the New England accent, MONSTAHXPO. If you search that on Facebook, Instagram, you Google it, it'll take you to the website. Easiest way to find us. And we're actually at the Rainham Flea Market every Sunday too. You can come by there and pick up Sam's books. We got all of them there, and they're selling like crazy.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, we just sold 3 today.
Wow,
we sell them every weekend. So we'll bring more for Monster Expo because I'll take more.
Yeah, we didn't mention that, PJ. Joe very kindly brings my books to the flea markets.
And the shows. If Sam's not at a show, I'm bringing the books because there's not a show or a weekend goes by where we don't sell one. They're great books. They're easy sell. People love them. And and people stop in their tracks because they see it and they think they're just looking at, one of the books, and they're like, wait, does that say beer? Or does that say bong?
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, I love it, And then I got to shoo some of them off. Like, come on, you got to buy it. It says in a library.
Yeah. Right. Well, what's funny is I get a lot of people, like when I do conventions in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, who'll say, oh, I already bought these. I got these at a flea market. And it's cool.
Yeah, I mean they sell. They're, like I said, they sell themselves. We got a nice little rack that like has every single one in it. People just grab them up, especially Christmas time.
Yeah, these are a good gift for any occasion. Yeah. James.
Me?
Yeah.
I guess the best way to get in touch with what we're doing is it came from the 508 Productions on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, I think that's it, but it came from the 508 Productions. No matter where you look, that's the name. It came from the 508.com. If you want to buy our movies, which helps me fund our current feature-length vampire film that we are trying to keep going. Make sure you go check out Beneath the Red Umbrella in May. It will be wherever you stream podcasts. Scare the shit out of yourself. It'll be fun. And while you're at it, watch Black Vulture by Justin Solom and read How Much Do You Tip Your Exorcist by PJ Rahal. Thanks.
Thank you for the plug. I appreciate it. So I think with that being said, I want to thank all of you for joining. I want to thank everybody who's no longer on the stream who joined. This was great. This was a fun way to spend my 50th episode of this podcast. So I really appreciate you guys all jumping in. I appreciate all the work that you do, and I'm huge fans of everyone that has been on the show today. I love working with you. I love, seeing what you produce. It's an honor to have you guys all join me today. It means a lot, and I really appreciate you all. So
I appreciate you too, PJ.
Yeah, buddy.
Congratulations on 50 shows, man.
Yeah,
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So gonna end this. I'm just gonna ask you guys to hang around for a minute afterwards, just so all the audio gets recorded, and then I can let you go after that. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time.